all and welcome back to Science Made Simple. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing the gut microbiome. Now, there are several microbiomes throughout the body, such as the oral cavity microbiome, so that's located in your mouth, the vaginal canal, which is also a microbiome, and the biggest one of all, the gut microbiome. Now, in the gut microbiome, it's made up of essentially a community of trillions and trillions and trillions of microbes. So these include bacteria, fungi, viruses, protozoa, archaeas, and several other different microbes. Now, the gut microbiome is mostly located in the intestines, the colon, and also now the appendix is thought to facilitate a safe place for microbes in the microbiome. So why is the gut microbiome important to human health? Well, firstly, it aids with digestion and nutrients absorption, as well as synthesizing vitamins as well as amino acids. It also helps develop and regulate the immune system. So many immune cells reside in the gut microbiome, and I will do a separate episode touching upon that, entirely discussing immunology and the gut microbiome. The gut microbiome also produces metabolites such as short-chain fatty acids, influence overall mental well-being as well as metabolic health. The microbiome is a new and upcoming area of research. It's fairly obvious that we know very, very little about it, but it is unequivocal that disruptions to the gut microbiome, such as dysbiosis, which we will move on to in a moment, does lead to disease and ailments in human health. So let's discuss some ways that we can modulate the gut microbiome, and this is mostly through pre- and probiotics. So there is a big difference between pre- and probiotics. Probiotics are foods that are rich in bacteria. You can get probiotics as supplements, but the quality and efficacy of these do vary. So the best fermented foods are things like sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, miso, and other fermented vegetables. You want to make sure that these aren't fermented or pickled in vinegar, because vinegar does kill microbes. Prebiotics, on the other hand, are substances that help feed these beneficial microbes and bacteria. So these are found in high-fiber, colourful fruits and vegetables. So colourful fruits and vegetables not only contain fibre, but they also contain polyphenols. And your gut microbes actually have receptors on them that polyphenols can bind to and act as a prebiotic. Now, these fibres are found in also resistant starches. So a cool mechanism and a cool tactic that you can use is something called starch retrogradation. This means by heating up, so boiling potatoes or boiling rice, and then putting it in the refrigerator, allowing it to cool, and then reheating it, actually doubles the resistant starch and decreases the glucose spike produced by these starches. Again, that is starch retrogradation. So there is a severe deficiency in both polyphenols and fibre, particularly in Western countries. So it's thought that our ancestors ate around in the ballpark of between 100 and 150 grams of dietary fibre every single day. The average adult nowadays, even the average child, is nearing between 5 and 12 grams per day of fibre only. So let's move on to dysbiosis. Dysbiosis is essentially the imbalance of microorganisms in the gut microbiome. So what I mean by this is that the pathogenic microorganisms and bacteria outgrow the friendly beneficial microbes. So these can include things such as E. coli, Colostrum difficile, as well as Helicobacter pylori, which is quite a famous one. Many GPs will often test people with certain symptoms for H. pylori. Unfortunately, there are many repercussions of dysbiosis, and they can be quite serious. So I'm just going to read them off here, because there are quite a few. So digestive issues such as gas and bloating, skin issues such as eczema and acne, increased risks for metabolic diseases, inflammatory bowel disease, cardiovascular disease, neurological conditions such as anxiety and depression. Again, the gut microbiome does impact mental health. There is a gut-brain axis, which I'll cover another time. Compromised immunity, metabolic dysfunction, mitochondrial dysfunction, and even an increase for other gastric cancers. There are many different causes of dysbiosis. This can be frequent antibiotic use, a diet high in excess sugar, ultra-processed food diet, low-fibre diet, smoking, alcohol consumption, as well as a diet low in polyphenols. So it is very, very clear that dysbiosis does cause gut inflammation and many different ailments. So it's really, really important to take care of your gut health. A study conducted at Stanford University by the Sonnenberg Lab, as well as Dr. Christopher Gardner and other researchers and colleagues of theirs, they did do a study where they gave participants around 6 servings of fermented foods per day, low-sugar fermented foods. This massively increased the diversity of the gut microbiome and reduced inflammation in the gut. This was measured via cytokines. So ensuring that you are getting fermented foods in your diet is really, really important. However, there is a small population of people that do have histamine intolerance or mast cell activation syndrome. I will cover this in another episode, but unfortunately fermented foods are very, very high in histamine and are inappropriate if you do suffer from those ailments. Other studies have found that eating a variety of 30 different plants a week, this comes in the form of including coffee, chocolate, spices, as well as fruits and vegetables, is extremely beneficial for your gut microbiome. This is because the different colours and varieties of these fruits and vegetables contain different types of fibre. For example, inulin, psyllium husk, chicory root, many different forms and different resistant starches. They also contain a variety of different coloured polyphenols. So going for dark, colourful fruits and vegetables is a great way to optimise your polyphenol intake. For example, if you look at a red onion and a white onion, the red onion has more polyphenols than the white onion. Now, there is a small subset of the population that do suffer from some bowel conditions, such as ulcerative colitis. In some people, it does seem that fibre does make their problems worse. It's really, really, really important to listen to your body and what your body's feedbacking to you. There have been studies done on the carnivore diet as well as the ketogenic diet in these inflammatory bowel ailments, and it has seemed to have helped, although the sample and population size is very, very small, and that is because most people do very well on an omnivore diet, so including plants and meat, and generally do very, very well on a high fibre diet. However, once again, please listen to your biology. There is going to be a small subset of people out there that don't do so well on so much fibre, or do well on certain kinds of fibre and not on other types of fibre. So please listen to what your body's telling you and maybe even invest in a gut test to help you figure this out. Another tool that you can use to help your gut microbiome is sleep. Forgive me if you can hear my dog playing with his toy, squeaky toy, in the background. It's probably Squeaky Raspberry. And that's sleep. So your gut microbes actually have their own circadian rhythm and function according to their chronobiology. So circadian rhythm is really, really important to your gut microbes. They can tell when it's daytime, when it's nighttime. I am going to sort of cover this very, very in depth in a separate episode, but making sure that you're getting early morning sunlight in your eyes and you're waking up with the rising sun and then going to sleep at a reasonable hour is highly, highly beneficial for your gut microbes and helps them function correctly. So the main key takeaways from this video are: ensure you're getting adequate sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, and hours of sleep. Ensure you're eating 30 different plants a week for different kinds of fibre, as well as polyphenols, and remember the retrogradation hack. Reducing ultra-processed foods and swapping out for high-fibre foods is excellent for your gut microbes. They will thank you. Eating fermented foods, if well tolerated, is an excellent strategy for repopulating the gut microbiome with healthy microbes. And finally, reduce alcohol intake and try to stop smoking if you are a smoker. This is because both alcohol and smoking permeate the gut, particularly the tight junctions within the gut. When these tight junctions are permeated, this allows basically pathogens, undigested food particles, and inflammatory substances to leak through the gut wall and into the bloodstream. This can affect systemic inflammation as well as your mental health. Both smoking and alcohol also disrupt the microflora of your gut microbiome and increase pathogenic species of the microbiome. Thank you very much for listening and watching this episode. Well done for sticking with me till the end, and that was Science Made Simple.